From mansions left behind to ones that have been through the most but are still standing, here are 8 abandoned mansions worth millions. Number 8. Pidhirtsi Castle. Unlike humans, who undeniably pay the consequence of aging, abandoned buildings, though they look beat and worn down, can still look like they've defeated the process of decay, often standing as a grand keepsake held in the arms of nature. Renaissance palace, Pidhirtsi Castle, in the village of Pidhirtsi in Ukraine, was built over 400 years ago. It was constructed by Italian architect Andrea dell'Aqua. There's a charm about a place that once held elaborate parties. The walls were once beautifully decorated in luxury, fell into ruin. Dust and dirt rest on the crystal windows that life once gazed through clearly. It was originally built for the hetman of the Polish crown. Unlike many other castle constructions in the region, it was built more for leisure than defensive purposes. A moat surrounds it. Italian and English accents make it seem more like a country house rather than a military castle. On the ground, you can find 2 churches, and in the center stands the oldest palace in Eastern Europe. In the 18th century, the owner of the castle was a diligent collector. He had a precious collection of books, weapons, and paintings. It was actually the first museum in Ukraine in the 18th century. Over time, the castle went through many renovations and suffered severe damage on multiple occasions, including World War II, a fire caused from a lightning storm, and it was even converted into an asylum for a brief period of time. However, there may be hope for this mansion still. An art gallery owns the property now and is aiming to raise money to try and restore it to its natural glory, which would be wonderful as the castle is worth a lot due to its construction and historical value. Number 7. Linwood Hall. In Philadelphia, you can find a spectacular neoclassical masterpiece. It's considered one of the greatest surviving mansions in America. The estate known as Linwood Hall was built between 1897 and 1900 for prolific art collector and industrialist Peter Widener. The property stood on a 480-acre estate in Elkins Park in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. The property was once one of the finest pieces of real estate in the state, but due to a sad and complicated history, the magnificent house fell into disrepair. If you were to look at Linwood Hall, both on the outside and inside, you would no doubt see a massive estate that was built for a wealthy man with a lot of money to throw around. In addition to 55 bedrooms, the 110-room mansion had a large art gallery, a ballroom that could fit 1,000 people in it, swimming pools, wine cellars, a farm, carpentry and upholstery studios, and even an electrical power plant. The structure changed hands a few times over time. Large portions of the estate sold off in the 1940s, and it's been predominantly vacant, but in 1952 it was purchased by a religious group that started selling off the interior detailing. It's stated that if converted into today's money, it would have taken Widener $200 million to make this home, which says nothing for the upkeep and keeping it incredibly pristine, which would explain why eventually the house was abandoned and fell into disrepair. It even got so bad that it went up on the market and sold for $11 million back in 2019. You would need someone willing to take the time and effort to rebuild, refresh, and make new all that has gone wrong in the mansion since it was abandoned. Not an easy feat, and not one many can afford to do. Number 6. Swannanoa Mansion. Sitting atop Virginia Hill is what seems to be an Italian palace plucked right from Europe and placed beautifully in the States. But this mansion is actually an original structure, built as a token of love and devotion between a husband and wife. Built by James Dooley in 1912, and for the time period, it was very advanced, styled after historic buildings in Rome. Designed not just luxuriously, but infinitely functional in ways that weren't common in the early 1900s. For example, while the 50-plus rooms in Garden Terrace were not exactly groundbreaking, the fact that the mansion had a private electricity system absolutely was. Not to mention, it had plumbing out of gold pipes. Gold pipes! Clearly, Dooley had no problem spending money to make sure the mansion was absolutely stunning. There was even a Tiffany & Company stained glass image of Dooley's wife installed above the main stairs. When Dooley and his wife died, the mansion fell into disrepair for a while until a country club had it. Later, it was leased to a couple in 1948 who were scientists, spiritualists, artists, and luckily, renovators who were looking for a lovely place. They established the University of Science and Philosophy there. No one currently lives in the mansion, but it's currently protected as a historic landmark and used for weddings and fancy private events. The main house looks as glorious as it ever did, making it the perfect place for love to bloom, just like it did when the mansion was built. Number 5. Villa da Vecchi. Villa da Vecchi is a 19th century home located in Cortenova, just east of Lake Como. Despite the elegance and great location of the property, it has remained empty for decades. Over the years, numerous legends associated with the home. This led to the property becoming known as Ghost Mansion and Casa delle Streghe, the House of Witches. The Red House, as it's also known, is a triple-decker mansion that was built in the 1850s by a count of all things, the well-read and well-traveled Felix de Vecchi, hence the name of the house. The estate was built with all the modern conveniences the age would offer at the time, including dumbwaiters, indoor heating pipes, and a large pressurized fountain. Legend has it that sometime in 1862, the Count returned home to find his wife brutally murdered and his daughter missing. He searched for his daughter, but sadly never found her. After a long and unsuccessful search, the Count committed suicide in the home. This story was proven to be a myth, and the unfortunate truth is that Felix died of liver problems before the house was ever completed. The house was kept by his family until 1938 and then remained abandoned for 20 years or so. Another legend of Villa de Vecchi is that infamous occultist Aleister Crowley was said to have spent time there. Fans of Crowley flocked to the home with rumors of ritualistic orgies and animal sacrifices. After World War II, more legends of the ghost house started to emerge, including people going there and saying the grand piano in the house was still being played by the specter of the Count. Just as creepy, in the 2000s, an avalanche happened in the area and wiped out just about every house that stood, except for Villa de Vecchi. So, there it stands and remains, abandoned, alone, and possibly haunted. Number 4. The Mcneil Mansion. The estate of industrialist Andrew H. Mcneil, located near Delaware River, was constructed in 1894. At first, it was just a massive home for his family and himself. Mcneil had a very successful U.S. pipe company and used his wealth to build the 3-story colonial-style mansion. At the time it was built, it was the largest private residence in the county, with 10,000 square feet of living space. It was so large that it also featured a separate carriage house for maintaining horse-drawn vehicles, and he was able to make it the headquarters for his business. In 1899, a bigger piping company bought him out and acquired the land and used it as their corporate office. They made it even larger, adding 3 more wings in the 1920s and 30s. They kept that mansion as headquarters until 1974, and then just straight up abandoned the mansion. They sold it to no one and left town. Because of that, the mansion was left to rot and decay, and Mother Nature quite literally moved in. Then, in 2001, a fire broke out and scorched it, making it look as if a war had taken place inside. Many proposals for reuse of the house have been put on the table, but none of them gained any traction. Half-completed renovations scattered throughout the mansion's interior are the only testament to the many stalled projects. With those failed alterations combined with fire damage, there seems to be little hope for the Mcneil Mansion today. It would take millions to truly fix everything, and thus the place remains abandoned to this day. Number 3. Carlton Island Villa. Are you looking to buy a haunted house on an island? Then take a look at the abandoned villa on Carlton Island near Cape Vincent, New York, in the world-famous 1000 Islands. This ghost of the region's Gilded Age was built by Remington typewriter magnate William Wyckoff. He died of a heart attack the first night he spent in the summer estate. The mansion has remained empty for nearly 100 years and looks like it could be the perfect spot for Hollywood's next horror film. After William died in the house, his son acquired it, but the family fortune didn't last. The house was believed to be cursed, and by 1927, the son abandoned the massive castle-like mansion for good. It's sat there waiting for its next owner ever since. Now, despite it actually being valued much higher because of its history, it's listed for about $500,000. But you'll have a lot of work to do and have to spend millions to repair it. Its interior has been long crumbling away. It's been brutalized internally to such a degree that estimates say it would take $10 million to fix it all. In fact, it's not just the walls that are falling apart, it's the foundation as well, which further enhances the haunted nature of the home. Number 2. Camanacht House. The gorgeous remains of the Camanacht Mansion are nestled in the grove of trees along Castle Hill Road in the town of Wishaw, North Lanarkshire, Scotland. It was built for the Lockhart of Castle Hill family. The original construction of the building was for it to be a tower house, but then it was made into a full castle in 1812, which, if you fast forward to now, the Camanacht House is one of the last of its kind in the entire country. It was designed by James Gillespie Graham in Tudor Revival Priory style. Built with yellow ashlar sandstone, it's 2 stories tall with a basement with beautiful octagonal tower corners on each side. It was built very ornately, decorated with carved motifs, chimneys, and castle-like roofs. Gorgeous gardens once surrounded the mansion, but is no longer seen to this day. Over the years, the house suffered multiple fires. There have been many attempts to turn the manor into a hotel, but all were denied for various reasons. By the 1990s, it was reported that the building had severely cracked and the roof had collapsed. To this day, the house remains abandoned, waiting for someone to give it the tender love and care it needs. Number 1. Swingers Tiki Palace. It's not often you hear the words knockoff Playboy Mansion, but this is an accurate depiction of the Swingers Tiki Palace that resided in the hallowed place of Chattanooga, Tennessee. The 5,600 square foot mansion was built in 1972 by Billy Hull. The house received a bit of fame after being featured in a 1972 issue of the trade publication Electricity and Building magazine for its massive, unique Playboy-style pool. The pool had swim tunnels leading to separate bedrooms. The Playboy pool was the focal point of the home, and the first thing you would see once you got there. A beautiful chandelier was overhead, with a waterfall and diving board, and the pool was even heated. It had a seating area and a full bar. Palm trees and tiki-style bamboo surrounded the area, and the walls had animal heads from all around the world. What would convince a man to go and build a place like this? Well, Billy was a strip club tycoon, and not unlike former Playboy legend, he felt this place could be the ultimate party central location. To that end, while it was up, it had multiple bars, a sauna, and was viewed as the ultimate bachelor party place. So, what went wrong? Well, despite having a strong first year, Billy messed up big time. In May 1973, he and a friend shot and killed his wife's lover. Because he was in jail, the place slowly fell into disarray, including the massive pool that was later home to more graffiti than water. And there it sat for decades, until finally some unpaid taxes allowed the city to go and seize the property. Not wanting its stain and its tagging history to remain, they demolished the place in 2017. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these incredible abandoned mansions? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!